high, you know, mobility AD carries off of LP, and that's how we're going to kind of go for it. So it's always interesting to see how teams are kind of adapting depending on who they're playing against.
Yeah, and in this draft, what ended up in, we still have Nico, Wukong, and K'Sante kind of being the big three that I'm keeping my eyes on. I thought Wukong would be the first pick because both Vi and Maokai are down, so kind of leaving it to that one out of that holy trinity, but instead, valuing the Nico higher, you would expect the Wukong to come out now for Tarzan. I wonder if they also put the same priority in K'Sante, because K'Sante goes along with the themes of what you're saying. The different priorities coming out for different teams. For some teams, they've been first picking K'Sante on blue side or perma-banning him, but like in our last series, we just see him going through to second set of bans.
Well, the Nico gets through. One of those kind of perma-pick, perma-ban things now. Can have exceptional highs and also exceptional lows, depending on who you're watching. But nonetheless, it shall be going into the hands of Tangyuan. And now we can see with Zika picking in the Aphelios for Gala, and he gets himself the K'Sante like you were mentioning.
Yeah, so Wukong now going to come out. Wukong Nico, incredible pairing. Like the fact that RNG have ended up with this out of the draft, and they're also going to get the better side of the bot lane matchup, which is something me and Mazel were going on about last game of like, when are teams going to just prioritize the Jinx over the Aphelios? The win percentages are also quite telling where Jinx is doing very well and Aphelios is not. But now for LNG to round out, I guess you could look to go with the Viego here, really being the last, I think, let's say not niche or like not out of left field jungle, still left open. And Tarzan never really been quite the one who's going to go all too off meta all too often, so.
Yeah, gets himself the Viego, able to keep that skirmishing power. It has been something that we've seen a little bit as a pseudo answer to the Wukong. It doesn't have the same kind of like, you know, threat, I would say, in the team fights, but definitely when you get those resets can become a massive nuisance, especially with things like the Wukong and the Nico to be able to kind of take over. But now, because they were able to pick up the K'Sante, you can see LNG now focusing bans into that top side. RNG, I imagine they're going to start banning things away from scouts. The Annie gets taken away. I wouldn't even be surprised to see the Syndra, just something that can disengage very easily into something like the Nico.
That's what'll be interesting, right? Because you kind of have, I'd say, the three big mid lane picks outside of Jace, because Jace is a bit of an anomaly being the only AD one of like Nico, Annie, and Ahri. And then you get down to like Lissandra and Syndra. So I'm curious if they'll just ban out the Ahri here and then leave Scout to have one of those options. Because with so many different options in the mid lane pool, it means even when you are pinching it, you're not really pinching it that hard. Like Scout will still have something to fall back on. And I feel like really any of those sets up well, right? If they did end up on a Lissandra, okay, you have the Lissandra Viego combo. Remember like the ice zombies into the resets. The Syndra for the disengage, like you're saying, Scout of the Week can do so much against both Wukong and Nico. It really does feel like no matter what gets banned here, that Scout will still have a good pick to come out with in that second phase.
And they recognize that, so they say, look, we might as well go for the support ban anyway, just so we can stop all of this all in, because you can see with the Wukong and the Nico, lots of going forward. I think the Braum ban is a very, very solid one indeed. And let's see what they want to kind of go for here on the side of LNG. You should be able to pick up your support here, no real questions asked. You'll have first rotation on that. I do like the Rakan a lot, something that can go in with the K'Sante and the Viego, and they locked that one in. Hung exceptional on these kind of picks as well.
Yeah, and I feel like they knew that if they locked this in, they'd probably end up going up against the Nautilus coming out from LvMao. And something I think LvMao, you know, after the Bard, does look more comfortable on like tankier supports rather than he does when he is on the Enchanters. And then we're going to be looking at where Breathe goes with top lane. Sion's still open. A lot of times Sion is one of those like perma-bans in the second phase to make sure that one doesn't go through. And RNG now, I mean, just showing a great read of the meta and ending up with probably the most expected of expected comps you could want.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just as if you were to literally ask me a meta pick in each role, I'd probably pick all 5 of these champions. Maybe I go with the Lulu over the Nautilus, but you know, I expect that to be banned. And let's see what LNG want to kind of round their comp out with. The Syndra will be good for the disengage, but the Ahri gives you that little bit of assassination ability as well. Something that can get in behind on a flank, catch out potentially the Jinx, or even just get a charm onto the Nico to stop her from getting onto that backside. So locked and loaded, Scout happy to kind of bring this in with the mid-jungle combination with the Viego.
Yeah, and especially I feel like not going for something like a Syndra just because of going up immobility up against a Sion, Wukong, Nautilus could be quite worrisome even if it does give you a bit of peel. But now Scout's going to have to, I mean, be like playing these team fights differently, right? You're going to have a lot of engage, have to dodge out on, kind of skirt around the fight to get on top of LP. To where RNG, I mean, they're just playing the most standard, right? Breathe and LvMao being like RPG game. You just, you just visit different towns, see the world a little bit, maybe get some of your quests. But then you don't really start fighting mobs and leveling up until later on. Which is a boring way to play RPGs. I'm actually the opposite. I kind of ignore some of the quests.
I was gonna say I kind of go mad.
Yeah, go like level up against all the random like mobs and stuff like that first, and then you go do the quest when you're too high of a level for it.
Yeah. Have you ever played Persona 5?
I have
It's
not.
gonna be such a tangent. Okay, I am no joke. I am like 6 hours into that game, and I am still technically doing the tutorial. Like 6 hours. There's so many mechanics, bro. It's insane.
We're not
like,
even
great.
We're not
game.
even 2 minutes into the game, and we're already off on a tangent. This is how it's supposed to be.
I mean, an amazing soundtrack in that thing. That's the last thing I'll say about it. Amazing soundtrack. But yeah, I mean, look, we'll see how both these teams end up kind of going with it right now. We could see maybe Tarzan go for a little bit of a, kind of a shake-up. And I was saying this yesterday on cast as well. It's that sometimes, I believe you were as well with your cast with Mazel, sometimes you have to go for something a little bit crazy. You have to try and maybe make something work a little bit differently to try and catch your opponent off guard. And that can give you the edge.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes it's even things that aren't like that crazy in terms of the history of League of Legends, but aren't being done that much at this moment. Like yesterday we had an invade into the enemy jungle where they stole away all the camps. You usually don't see that now. It's usually take one camp, leave, and like keep going on your trail with your tempo elsewhere. And you could see that, the enemy jungle didn't expect it. It's like, what do I do now? I've no more camps to farm at all. Small things like that just haven't been done in a while, catching people off guard.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did see a little bit of an engage in this bot side. Look, to be expected, the Felios not really a champion until level 2, to be perfectly honest. He gets to switch his guns, and that's about it. So he will be waiting for that one. It's just natural that the Jinx is kind of a tale as old as time lyric. The Jinx shall push in the Felios, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Tarzan having a little bit of a different pathing style, went from Raptors to Blue to Gromp. Now going back down towards his Wolves, as we see LvMao having a unfortunate minion moment, but again, just kind of waiting to see what these junglers are able to do. I will say, though, because Tarzan started on this kind of technically started on this bot side, it means he's going to be top side to really kind of go for anything. So we should maybe see a little bit of a mid-jungle combination coming out from LNG very soon.
Yeah, kind of interesting, right? With that path, allows him to go down towards his bot side, get his camps, knowing his bot lane's going to get pushed in, get that ward, make sure nothing can get stolen, and still end up on the side where he has Prio to guarantee himself a very easy grab. So nice kind of path coming out from Tarzan to make sure he doesn't lose anything, get some information on the bot side with that ward, and can kind of just keep going on his merry way.
Yeah. Again, more and more pressure going to be put out here by the Nautilus. It becomes a little bit of an easier time for the Rakan. Once you get levels into your shielding, your healing, of course, you'll be able to get that. And of course, your dash to be able to get yourself your battle dance to get yourself in and out of fights. And it's not really leading to any kind of significant advantages either way. Zika, very smartly there, actually let the wave kind of push into him because he knew that Tarzan will be up on this top side. We still don't know exactly where he is on the side of RNG. They have kind of got the initial vision on the Raptors, but then they don't know exactly where he went. So you can see pings coming down of question marks on the map kind of saying, where exactly is he? Because, every lane's got to be on their toes for the moment.
And look at this efficiency. Done with everything. His Raptor camp about to come back up, so he'll get that. I don't know if Wei was spotted out on that ward right as, was dissolving. I would assume probably not.
Oh. Hook. LvMao gets himself behind enemy lines. They're going to see the cleanse come out here from LP as he realized he took a little bit too much of a trade back. And Wei, unfortunately for him, didn't realize he was already spotted out on a ward. So Ghost for cleanse and an ignite. 2 summoners for 1. LNG come out on top of that trade.
Even just winning in terms of HP. Like, overall solid trade coming out from LNG. Hung doing a lot there to buy a lot of time for Gala to be able to pop that Ghost and get away. And we're going to get to see the answer to my question. Wasn't spotted.
There you go. Thank you, observers. They're listening to us, even though they're definitely not listening to us.
They're definitely not listening to us at all.
It's like yesterday when, or was it the day before, when BLG... Yagao had the Nico plan.
That
took
was
took his
so
hands
great.
on the keyboard. I was so surprised when they zoomed in on his camera because it was just as I said it, which never happens. Because again, they do not listen to us. They will listen to the more respectfully. They will listen to the Chinese commentators rather than us. It makes a lot more sense in that regard.
Probably for the best.
Honestly, yeah. Like we were just talking about Persona. God knows where we're gonna go with this. And looks like, again, like we said, the first 5 minutes, not a lot happening. Talked about pathing a little bit, but look, Lyric, there's only so much we can kind of bring that up. So now that we're getting closer to level 6s coming out, and Wade finds himself a little bit lost in the jungle. Look, I mean, you talked about efficiency. This is fantastic from Tarzan. Just really kind of throwing Wade through a loop and kind of saying, look, there's nothing for you to take. There's nothing for you to do.
Yeah, like Tarzan's caps are always down. He's been like bathing it away. That just made it so easy. And I've also loved the vision game coming out from the side of LNG, right? The wards that they've been getting in enemy jungle or in river to spot out where they are. Gonna need to be a bit careful now, but maybe with the prio that Gala and Hung get from the fact that LvMao's left lane, it should mean that Gala and Hung can come reinforce Tarzan in river. Yep, there it is. The push gonna come out.
Pretty simple. Sorry, you caught me just as I was taking a sip of water.
You better. I was gonna say a sip of what? You did not.
Yeah. That's for me to know and you to never find out. But we will see the dragon being secured, you would imagine. 1,000 HP left on it. Wade put himself in a position to maybe contest. Ignited immediately just to kind of scare him. Scout gets himself over the trap so he can maybe look for something. Good charm, as you can see LvMao trying to flash away, but the resets are going to be coming in. And almost like clockwork, you can see straight away Scout looking for a little bit of a move. 3-man pop blossom off the Nico, but they can't finish off any of these kills. LP had to back away because Tarzan was coming in. And it was fantastic looking, but it means nothing. 3 for nothing and the dragon for LNG.
We've had so many of those already in the first week of like great Nico ultimates on the many targets, but sadly no one able to follow up, and it just, again, some plays look sexy, but they don't go anywhere. Great by LNG though, Scout especially. I'm sure we're gonna get a replay of the Spirit Rush over the Chompers to make sure he can get in there. And now LNG not only get first strike, they get all the kills. And Scout even needed back in time to make sure that he picks up pretty much all of his wave in mid.
Yeah, I mean, lost a minion. That's about it. Gonna be able to get up all this XP. Even if he doesn't secure every single minion, it's not a big deal because
just
he gets the XP.
The caster. Oof.
Just one caster. It's a bit of fun, but let's have a look at the replay here because again, it looks like RNG, they really want to contest. Just a little bit too late to contest.
Yeah, I mean, just look at where Nico is on the mini-map, and Scout gets here first, already moving Spirit right over the traps, doesn't get locked down, and now you're stuck in a 2v4. LP can't just run in right past the Spirit rushing Ari, and again, Nico, Tangyuan not getting here in time, might have a really flashy ultimate. Sadly, nothing is able to come from it.
Yeah, I mean, really nice knock up there from Hong as well to make sure that Scout wasn't getting auto-attacked down by the Nico, and the fact that the Tarzan is in the Nautilus form after killing LvMao meant that LP recognized, well, if I walk forward, I'm just going to be CC'd until I die because he's got resets.
Now we look at a point with where items are, right? More, like, better components being completed for LNG with Lost Chapter in mid lane, Noon Quiver down in bot is Hung.
I mean, they're looking for a lot more here. LP does get himself a blast cone after the cleanse. That was a little bit cheeky, but I mean, that's super deep into enemy territory, which means Gala's getting all of this free time, and Gala's already got a 20 CS lead alongside those kills and assists.
Gala came in as the favorite against his ex-teammates, but LNG so far just kind of having great showing, and ooh, Tangyuan away. I don't think they're gonna fall for this. They know they're around this area, right? I mean, they were just in the faces of LP and LvMao, so I like it. Tangyuan away, not gonna fall for it. No kill's gonna go over, but we were talking about Tarzan creating that lead just in terms of jungle earlier on. He's only going to further extend it by stealing away more camps, getting more deep vision down. So you're not only shutting out LP and LvMao, you're kind of shutting out Wei and just extending these nice leads on the side of LNG where it might only be 3 kills a Sheen, but it's already above a 2K gold lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you brought up Tarzan kind of getting his own lead as well, because yes, it might not mean the biggest thing in the world for the moment, but it also, especially in the early game, I find with junglers is that if you're able to steal away camps, you get your smite upgraded so much faster, and it means that you're kind of sitting on 900 smite on the enemy jungler for way too long. That 300 damage can be so detrimental to your team. So really going to maybe see a little bit of a movement here. There's going to be LP getting hit up by the Gravitum, and they swapped out the ultimate as well. They're maybe going to try and fully engage on top of this. There's going to be Hong getting hit up. He has got the quickness, which means he's going to get the stun off, and immediately dodges out the Super Mega Death Rocket, and now Wei trying to see if he can get the Cyclone down onto Gala, who will just about fall down, but now the reset's coming in as LvMao just got himself a little bit too far away. Scout trying to see if he can make something work here onto LP, and he will with the charm as well onto Tangyuan. And yes, they give over Gala, but they gain everything else. LNG are just smashing RNG in this bot lane.
This could have even been a bigger win. They're going to keep going for it. Tangyuan, can he find one in return?
I mean, he's going to look for one more. He's going to get it. But is he going to be able to survive? That's the question. He will not. That's unfortunately his clone, and that means that we're going to trade another 1-for-1. All these minions going off to the wayside as well.
Honestly, LNG could have even won harder. I don't feel like Gala had to die there, kind of being a little bit greedy, but still, huge win for LNG. Gold lead extends further. Wei does... Looks like he wants to make a play with the Rift Herald in this mid lane right now. Remember Strong.
I mean, he was running out of time.
Yeah, I was going to say, really had no other options, and not even really going to be able to follow it up.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult now. LvMao getting TP'd upon. They're flashing in. They want to kill LP. Gala wants to make sure that he wins the breakup. He's saying, this is your new girlfriend? No, it is not better than me. It will get the Rift Herald to get off in that mid lane. But, I mean, RNG has been pulled left, right, and center around the map. LNG is winning on all fronts.
And look, now, I mean, Breathe has to go down towards the bot side. Zika's getting more up in top lane. They're just getting everything. And here we're going to see what went down. Wanting to go aggressive because they do have an item lead, are just winning out in this lane. Here, I thought Gala was definitely dead because Wei is Cyclone. Gala has no flash in this play. Tries to jump onto Hung first, which buys so much time, allows him to jump away to the Aphelios. And here, I think Gala could have walked back, like right at the start of that play, and probably escaped.
Just behind the minions, yeah.
Yeah, wanting to get more damage down, and it didn't matter because the cavalry was here. Again, they hit better components first. Scout even managed to got here in time, and once the resets come out, I mean, what do you do as RNG? You do nothing. You die, Machine. You get the gray screen.
Yeah. You do hit the gray screen, just a little bit harder than you expect to hit it, as we can see now. It's now a nearly 4,000 gold lead. 2 dragons. It's going to be a Hex Rift, so an incredibly powerful soul available here to either of these teams, but you would imagine that LNG are definitely at the forefront of getting that, and first items being completed as well. They've got themselves the Divine Sundra, the Everfrost. It's a 3/03 scout, so this kind of utility build, even though it doesn't do a lot of damage, it does when it's accelerated. That's the thing, is that when you're able to get the CC down all the time, it just makes it so much harder for you to kind of deal with something like an Ahri, even if she's not doing, explosive amounts of damage into your face.
Yeah, it just makes it so hard. And I gotta say, this game kind of pissing me off. You know why? Because LNG, they're dumpstering RNG.
Because
and that
Zika
means...
has a cull on Cassante?
No.
Is that why?
This means RA are even worse than what I thought.
Yeah.
If RNG were winning this, that would make RA's loss look a little bit better, you know? It'd be like, oh, RA, Mo and the boys,
if you
not
lose
that
to
bad.
the eventual winners, then you're better than everybody else, you know? It's
Exactly.
just how it works.
But that's not what's happening. So, you know what, RNG? Let's do a little bit better. This game might be done and dusted. It's, it's not the end of the world, especially when you have a Jinx, you have a giant front line. Like, if LNG mess up and RNG take one fight, they're back in it. But, not looking too great so far.
I mean, they do have the Everfrost to try and slow this down. They may look for a little bit more, but without the charm, don't really have the kind of follow-up there from Scout, so just loses his ultimate. Not going to be too disheartened by that. Has got the Ghost in his hand with the Summoner Spellbook. And I mean, for RNG, you kind of need to get, figure out how you're going to try and make these fights work for yourself. As we can see, Hung just kind of being a nuisance, putting himself into positions to put down Vision so that Gala can pick up even more gold.
And, speaking of AD carries and items, LP going for first item Kraken Slayer. We've seen this a few times. I'm really not too big of a fan of it. Again, it just feels like Storm Razor just gives you so much more early game damage to contend with. They have fallen behind, so maybe thinking, hey, having some ramping damage and hoping for that later on could do better, but I still feel like you're kind of just accepting that LNG are going to keep dominating you throughout this early game.
Looks like LNG want to continue that status. They lost the first Rift Herald. They don't want to lose the next one. As Wei and LvMao kind of put themselves in a position. And this is the thing now as well. Because you're so far behind, it means that you have got Zika kind of able to keep the Scion at bay. And in a 4v4, you just don't really have the kind of damage to make this one work. Unless you get all of your ultimates down kind of in a great big old wombo combo. So we'll see what they want to kind of go for right now. LvMao off to the side. Tarzan, Gala, Scout, and Hung here. As they do have Zika roaming up. They do not know that the Nautilus is there. Now they do. The charm lands on the LP, the perfect target. They get they get the Rift Herald. They should be able to back themselves away, but they did. All it cost them was a cleanse.
That was a great charm coming out from Scout, but it might cost them more. Wraparound coming through.
Not quite. Should be fine. Should be able to defend this and get themselves away. And Breed didn't move up, so Breed gets free time on the spot side.
I'm surprised that LNG weren't way more willing to look for that fight, but I guess I get it right. Afraid of running into a Pot Blossom Cyclone caught, like running into the open arms of that combo to come through, not having to set up first and trying to get Zika there in time. In the end, though, are just going to have to wait for the next dragon. It comes up in 1:20, so they don't have to wait a hell of a long time. And that'll be sole point for LNG. So they'll be incredibly close to what could possibly be a game-deciding fight, because you know when it's Hex Tech Soul, that is a really strong soul to have under your belt.
Yeah, absolutely. It is just even the fact that like it gives you the extra little bit of damage and the slow and it's just so many little things in it, and even just the stats from it as well are just insane. I will say in terms of single Drakes as well, Mountain's definitely not a bad one to have as you get later on into the game, as the Iceborne Gauntlet has been finished off. Scout should be able to finish off this turret as well. And that still means that LNG have got themselves pretty much the advantage across the map. 40 seconds till that soul point is up and available. They will have Scout reset because he's not got teleport for the moment. He's still got Ghost in that summoner spellbook, so he's still looking to be a little bit of a menace maneuvering around these team fights, having that extra movement speed.
Yeah, and you can see these teams approaching this different ways, right? RNG moving towards mid first. They're going to be able to control this. Might even get this turret.
It's close, though, to kind of get it, and then Wei took a hell of a lot of punishment on the way out from it, so definitely gets it, but is it worth it in the grand scheme of things? Because now you have 10 seconds until this dragon spawns. Have to drop the Rift Herald here to try and gain some kind of control over this mid lane, because Wei is just not really in a healthy position to posture.
Yeah, but Zika getting so much time in that bot wave can push that one up and move over. Now they have complete control over River. Looks like they're going to wait for Gala.
Yeah, they are going to catch out Hong. Immediately goes into the quickness. They're going to see if they can burn out LvMao, who flashes away. The charm is good. Wei is dead. Pop Blossom is fantastic, but they have no way of following this one up. Now you can see Gala feeling so confident. He flashes over the wall, and it's just that easy lyric. It was a fight that RNG looked to have, but they just didn't know the power of this LNG roster, and they get punished for it. 5-0. Sole point. The game is LNG's to lose.
And it was crazy. Like, I thought Hung was 100% dead. Then everyone from LNG shows up, and this composition, just everyone jumps on top of you. It would be like, okay, everyone jumps in, Vio gets to reset, bam, rinse and repeat. Soul point, another turret. This is, for a day that I was looking at as a possible 9-game day, we're having quite a few decisive stomps. We're going to see here, though, they get onto Hung. He gets so low, brought up by the Nautilus ulti, all the damage to follow through, but they just can't finish him off. First kill goes over once Gala comes down, and then it's right here. After the first reset from Viego's able to come through, the Cassante goes in with the all-out, and then it just becomes reset city. Gala even just free-hitting, really under no threat at all.
I mean, I think LP only got like 5 auto attacks off in that entire thing. Wei's dead, and that's just something that's kind of happening right now. But, I mean, this is so crisp and clean from LNG. I think that this is something, again, look, we're very used to this in the regular split. LNG are pushing themselves to be a top 3 contender. They want to go to Worlds. They don't want to have to talk about it and, you know, be you know, kind of thinking about how they failed at playoffs, because, again, they don't want to be in that situation where they could potentially lose. And, oh, my God, you looked for the fight. You wanted it. You were trying to find the flank, and they said, what are you doing? You're isolated. You're no longer here. We can kill you. And this is just LNG looking so damn good.
Scout especially is looking so confident, just going in and out of the fight, trying to find those picks. You know what, Oisin? I tweeted before, who would win, one RNG-sized Gala or 4 Gala-sized RNGs? I feel like we're getting our answer, at least in this game one. Also going to call out the whole world for not giving me more clout.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to @JordanCorbyLol on Twitter right now and go like his tweet. How dare you? How dare you? The man never tweets, and he's making an effort. And you guys don't support that? I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
What's more important than, you know, what's more important than like a nutritious diet, money, happiness, friendship?
Love.
Is clout. No, not love. Clout. Yeah. And you know what?
No, I was adding it to the thing of it's more important than love.
Good, good. And you know, in the LPL, we're lacking a lot of clout right now, which we shouldn't be. You know, 2 teams just in the finals of MSI, they also deserve.
I mean, we
more
did
clout,
win 7 of the last 10 international tournaments as well. You know, that's a thing. You know, I'm not even counting MSC from that.
We don't take it that far. We don't. You know what? We don't care about the past, Oisin, because now we can live in the present. It's not the dark days anymore of Worlds.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. It is the dark days of, oh my God, RNG, because even with the cleanse, the charm
Scout
lands.
doesn't care.
Scout does not care. The Cyclone will get a second rotation if they can get it. Here comes the Unstoppable Force, which means that Breed is now caught between a Rock and a Cassante. That's how bad it's going to be for him now. He's flashes, but only to try and delay the inevitable. LvMao throws out an ultimate to try and stop this Gala push, but I mean, there's nothing you can really do. And at 21 minutes, they're not going to go for the end, but they're definitely going to go for the Baron.
Yeah, gonna move back. And I gotta say, Scout just face tanked Wei, just face tanked LP. Really did not care if they were putting damage onto him whatsoever. Still knew he could go in. And now, can RNG make it in time for us to get maybe a bit more spiciness in this 2 to 15 kill game? I hope so.
I don't think Tangyuan has gone for any kind of Nico plays yet. As we go over the top, he will not get the smite just yet, but he does have a blast cone to get into it. But now they know that Wei's not with his team. Wei's in here, so that means they have to just stop this. Wei's just waiting and realizing now, oh wait, hang on, I'm not actually with my team. This is a 5v3. They're all gonna die. The Cassante gets 2 kills, and like that was just really smart from LNG. Why flip the Baron when you can take a 5v4?
Oh, even just nice knockback from Zika. Might regret it, though. As, no, actually,
He's
never
fine.
mind. You're facing a Scion and a Nautilus. Here I am. They ain't doing anything. Now, Wei's backed off, though. So this will just be Baron 2 LNG. And it looks like we're going to be in for a sub-30-minute game, which is quite nice when yesterday we had quite a few long games.
Yes, the yesterday was a bit of a bottom of the table bout, shall we say. This time, we're getting some clean League of Legends. Let's have a look at the replay here. And again, Wei's on the backside. They know this. They just go, cool, let's fight.
RNG are just like, what do we do now? We didn't expect him to be this good. We didn't expect him to actually turn off the Baron and just use the Baron to bait us like all teams should, but don't. As, yeah, then once Cassante gets in there, what can they do? Zika, he's just going to keep going. They know how much stronger than RNG they are right now.
I mean, yeah, 3v4. They're looking for it all. See if they can maybe make this one work. They're going to get on the Tangyuan, who does have to go golden. They're going to try and get the knockback here at home. Gets knocked up. Gala picks up the first kill of this fight. They finally take down the Cassante. LP is on the backside, but he's taking so much damage. He has to try and position himself properly here. Scout goes golden to give themselves a little bit more time. Breed has no flash and nowhere to go. So he will be falling down very, very shortly. It ends up being a 3-for-2 play in favor of LNG. Definitely not the cleanest, but look, I don't think they care.
Yeah, like that was a fight where the damage dealers hadn't even arrived yet before Hung and Zika were trying to run RNG down. The second Ari, Viego, Afelio show up, we saw really wasn't even close. And now they're going to be able to use their Baron buff, control that bot side. Tarzan going to be able to solo that dragon easily. And now from LNG, I want to see them start playing out, you know, through two lanes. Use this Baron buff. You know, send Zika to a side lane, other force somewhere else, have Tarzan do that back and forth, and really start to try and find an advantage. Looks like they want to get a reset first. I would assume Gala. I kind of expected him to finish an item off that back, but no.
No, not getting it just yet. 25 stacks though onto Scout's Medjai's Soul Stealer alongside that Zonya's. So this is the kind of damage build where you can build full utility and still burst out 80 carries on the backside. So has yet to really build a full damage item, you would argue, outside of that Medjai's, and definitely getting efficiency out of it. But again, look at this. LNG go a little bit too far forward, but they know it doesn't even matter if they go 3-for-2 because they're looking for the soul anyway.
Yeah, and again, you see, like, it's kind of 2 members in, Scout, Force, backuppers, but get some nice damage onto LP. And with them so far forward, it actually allows LP to freely deal damage, which is what RNG need to be able to pick up a few kills. But once Gala gets involved, we see the Gale Force comes in, even flashes through to be able to follow up. That's when LNG are really able to get some of these returns.
It's just becoming harder and harder. Gala's kind of burning through the Scion quicker and quicker, it feels like. And now they can look to maybe end this game. Here we go. Wei taken out by the Gale Force of Gala as he looks to try and take this first game against his previous team. He won an MSI with them, and now he's looking to win even more with LNG. He's looking to try and start a new chapter with his newest organization, and this is going to be a 5-for-0 double-double, Boil and Trouble. LNG just dominant from the word go.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, looked even better than in their first series, which sure, that was a tough opponent in TS. RNG should be a little bit further down the totem pole. but it looks like they took key learnings from the messiness of that first series and really applied them to this, because 4 kills to 25 is that's the kind of scoreline you'd expect to see between like a top 3 team and like a bottom 2 team.
Yeah, like
not a team
AL
like,
or something.
Yeah, not a team like RNG, who at least from that first series showed like, you know, they should at least be contending somewhere in the middle of the pack. Might still be like the lower middle of the pack where you're like kind of fighting around
sure.
10th, 11th, 12th, but like they looked like a, you know, a pretty solid team. And LNG saying, doesn't matter how solid you are, we are just better.
Yeah, I mean, look, everyone's got a game plan until they get punched in the face, and that was kind of what happened with RNG. They came in with a very big kind of wombo combo, get the team fights off, and let LP kind of sit in the back line. It never got to that. Literally never got to. They got to do it once, and they were so far behind, they only got 2 kills off of it. So it was just domination from LNG, and this is fantastic as an LPL fan to kind of watch, because we are coming into a, you know, kind of a situation now where the you know, the league as a whole, especially the top teams, like, you know, maybe we had 4 top teams. Now I'm kind of thinking we maybe have 5, 6 top teams. It's getting harder to decide who we actually want to try and send to Worlds. And LNG, they're right up there with the rest of them saying, look, we need to be here. We need to be counted because we are here to play.
I think LNG is a great representation of what happened at the start of the year and, you know, right before spring, that it feels like a lot of the top talent is actually getting concentrated into, you know, top teams. So it's not like, I'd say you look at maybe some splits 2020 points to 2021 where it's like, hey, we have all these like bottom teams that have like a top star player. It's like, no, a lot of those players coming into this year got pulled up onto better teams, and we have a lot more, I think, like rosters like LNG, like WE, where you have like Hope, Iwandi, Shanks, like a lot of these good players coming together, and it definitely makes the league way more interesting, but it also means teams that don't have that same level of at least star power have to work a lot more on, again, like working as a team, getting their macro reads and meta reads down, teams like RNG, to be able to find those wins and develop fully.
Absolutely. And I think that the really cool thing about this game, especially when kind of like looking at it from the side of LNG, is that just even macroly, like just how they played the map, the fact that Tarzan took such a unique jungle pathing, Raptors into blue, into Gromp, back into Wolves, then was able to kind of get the scuttle, put down a ward, come back, and he was always doing something. And this is something that we're noticing a lot with junglers coming into this particular split, is that the jungler that's more proactive, the jungler that's always has something to do, is the jungler that's having a bigger impact on this game.
Yeah, I mean, really, seriously, Tarzan felt so good in that first 15 minutes, got himself ahead, denied the enemy, finding all the opportunities for the ganks. LNG as a whole, just the macro was on point. And this is looking like a scary team and looking like what might be another fast series. I hope RNG are able to bounce back, but it just looked like in every area. I mean, as it should be, right? You look at LNG's roster, a lot of experienced and big accolade players. RNG honestly should be looked at as more of a project, right? Younger players like Tangyuan and LP, even if Breathe, Way, LvMao have like seen some heights themselves, it's kind of a random kerfluffle of players coming together for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, look, as you said, it's a project for RNG. This is something that we're kind of looking at to see how they develop towards the season. But like we said earlier today, it's a bit of a sprint of a marathon, so you kind of need to figure out your bearings a little bit quicker than most. And I will say, for RNG, definitely saw them do some great stuff against RA, so we can hopefully see them maybe kind of bring this one back. But I mean, it does feel like the gap between maybe our top 5, top 6 teams and the rest of the pack, you know, the rest of the 11 teams, is just growing so much, because as you mentioned, these superstars that were on rosters kind of dotted around are now coming together to form pseudo super teams. I wouldn't particularly call this a super team from LNG, but I mean, looking at some of the names, like, this is a team that I would argue could be, you know, top 3, top 4 in their role in the LPL very debatably. Like, this is not a bad team by any stretch of the